Yassine Mandra is our crypto analyst, and we go through soul searching times like this and scrape the models. And yes, our conviction is as high. The one thing that has changed here, however, is the environmental concerns around Bitcoin in particular have caused people like Elon Musk to pull away and say, whoa, 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 let me make sure I understand this. And we believe that even this is going to change because, first of all, right now, the percentage of Bitcoin mined with renewables and hydroelectric power is quite substantial. I think in China, it's over 50% in renewables. And we also believe, and we wrote a paper in conjunction with Square on this, and we're going to have a conference about it in July. We believe that Bitcoin mining integrated into the distributed grid, and by that I mean solar roofs, power walls in homes, utilities, merchant power producers, starting to include Bitcoin mining in the ecosystem. Why would they do that? They would do it because renewables are intermittent power sources, right? Weather, is it sunny or not? Wind, is it windy or not? And Bitcoin mining could take off if there's excess energy from solar being loaded into power walls, it can be offloaded into Bitcoin mining, and the whole ecosystem, therefore, becomes much more economic. If this happens, we believe that the adoption of solar is going to accelerate dramatically because there's another profit center associated with it, Bitcoin mining.
Well, what happens though in the meantime? So here we are at 35,000, Cathie. Do you think we go much lower from here?
You never know how low is low when a market gets very emotional. A lot of traders see Bitcoin dropping below the 200-day moving average, which was at 40,000. So traders, once that happened, they just dump. Some just dump and run. I think we're in a capitulation phase. Yassine has a dashboard. We were looking at all the indicators this morning. They are all suggesting that we are in the capitulation phase, which is a really great time to buy, no matter what the asset is. A capitulation phase is buy. It's on sale. Now, am I saying 35,000 is the low? You know, if traders, and there are a lot of speculators in Bitcoin, if they are running for the hills just because Bitcoin has broken through a moving average that is important to them, it could continue. But all of our indicators are saying this is capitulation right now.
Do you have a low point on your model for Bitcoin?
No, these metrics are more a measure. Are we in a truly capitulation phase? Okay. And it's very detailed. Yassine uses on-chain analysis, which this is the only asset where you can see exactly who's doing what, when, why, and how. And all of those metrics are saying this is a capitulation. This is as bad as it got during the coronavirus crisis.
And when we look under the hood here, think that this recent pullback undervalues the progress, the traction, and the opportunity size of everything that's happening in crypto. Is that part of maybe the little bit of a late surge later in the trading session? Maybe. You know, it's really a long-term kind of sector, not short-term here.
Okay, so let's talk about short-term though, because that's what investors are really concerned about, especially if they're thinking about pulling out now. Do you see these losses, this crash, this winter, if you will, extending for a significant period of time? Or, you know, within a short-term period, do you see more upside?
Look, we think about upside in terms of basically 5 to 10 years. So what's going to happen in the next year or two remains to be seen. I mean, plain and simple, let's zoom out here. Crypto is both disrupting and creating new opportunities in multiple trillion-dollar markets. I mean, let's talk about just finance, gaming, and social. That's just 3. So that stuff's not going to go away. The traction is very real. We're seeing progress on all of those fronts. But the backdrop here is really the pace of innovation. So when you're thinking about from a forward-looking perspective, what's exciting about what's happening here? And it's really all about the pace of innovation. I think in the history of technology, we've never seen anything match this pace of what we're seeing in crypto today.
I asked MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor the very same question about how long he plans to hold his Bitcoin. Of course, MicroStrategy, the largest corporate holder of Bitcoin in the world. Does this signs of winter, the cold, give him any pause? Take a quick listen to what he had to say.
No, we're not sellers, right? We're only acquiring and holding Bitcoin. Right? That's our strategy. We've been very clear. We actually put it in black and white in our 10K. You can read it in our SEC filings.
That's in response to a question that was basically like, would you ever sell? And the answer was basically never. I mean, is that the right strategy?
Look, kudos to Michael for his strategy. You know, he's running a very different type of investment strategy from what we're running as a venture firm, right? I mean, again, we're thinking about some of these fundamental backdrops. Right? We have this permissionless open infrastructure that anyone can build on. We have this open source technology. So new founders coming into the space don't need to recreate the wheel. Anyone can take these protocol applications off the shelf, add something to it, and create something entirely new. And we're running all of these experiments in parallel. And that's what's driving this pace of innovation that gets us really excited as venture investors. So is there any one asset that we hold in our portfolio that I'd say we would never sell? Of course not. That's not in our business model. But for Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, they're running a different game, and that's okay.
So for those who aren't venture capitalists like yourself, but want to have some exposure to the market and don't know what to do right now, how are you looking at this crash? Is this similar to what happened in 2018? I mean, is it that dramatic? Is it something softer or different?
I don't think it's anywhere near the same situation of 2018. In 2018, we're coming off a backdrop of 2017's ICO phenomenon that had a lot of projects selling tokens up front for applications that were yet to be developed. Many of those never launched. Now, in contrast, what we're seeing here is live networks and live applications where you can review the data on chain on a real-time basis to see how they're performing. We can see how much fees they're generating on an hourly basis, on a minute-by-minute basis. And the numbers are pretty incredible. Several of these applications are generating well north of hundreds of millions of dollars a year annually in fees. So they're delivering real utility to their users. And that's very, very different than 2018. Now, the other thing I would add here is that the backdrop is very different. So in 2018, this was entirely a secular bull market, or a bear market, sorry, for crypto. Now, in contrast here, the secular story for crypto is all very, very bullish. We just have a negative macro backdrop.
After a big football weekend, got to ask you about the chatter about some of these major athletes accepting their paychecks in Bitcoin. Odell Beckham Jr., of course, here in San Francisco, Golden State Warriors, Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala. Do you think this was the right play for them, pun intended, given that, you know, they're losing money?
Look, I think that this kind of a strategy is really only suitable for those that can afford to have long-term commitment. And so fortunately, these kind of high profile names, they're doing this in that category. And I think that that's okay. But I don't think it's suitable for the vast majority of people that don't have the kind of extra income to take that sort of risk. Now, of course, we should keep in mind that presumably all of those athletes, I don't know exactly what their contracts look like, but presumably it's a fixed in USD term and then converted into crypto. In which case, it's really just a way to average into the industry over time as a percentage of their paycheck. And that seems like